this is Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Don't curse, speak English.
Armstrong.
Virtuous society.
Armstrong.
I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong.
Elevate your mind.
Armstrong.
I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned in to the most conservative of our brothers.
Armstrong.
The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Another day, another scandal, another high-profile celebrity headed to Oprah's couch to express contrition and try to resuscitate. He's trying to resuscitate his image. Well, Lance Armstrong is telling why he lied. And lied, and lied, and lied, and lied. You know, I don't know Lance Armstrong. And I sometimes wonder if Lance Armstrong knows himself. But Lance Armstrong with his Live Strong, you know, I love the part about strong in there, was a hero to so many kids, so many people believed in him. Many people knew that he was involved in enhancing drugs, and yet they wanted to believe in this image. They wanted to believe in this superstar who overcame cancer. And yet, as the layers began to peel away and we saw signs that it was not real, America wanted to hold on to an icon. And finally, when all was said and done, and he had nowhere to go, where else could he go except to ask for forgiveness and your mercy? And we are willing to forgive and show mercy. Lance Armstrong is our topic today. And we have two very distinguished guests to discuss this topic. I met Evan Nierman several years ago in Israel. Just a genuinely good person, bright, public relations masterman. Marketing, crisis management, online media, founder of Red Banyan Group. Throughout his career, he has provided strategic communications counsel to senior business leaders and government officials and private individuals. He knows a thing or two about sports. He plays soccer at George Washington University, where he was a standout. Evan, welcome back to the show.
Armstrong, it's great to be with you again.
We get a chance to tap into your sports knowledge today. David Byrd, are you on the line?
I am.
Oh, well, now that's a breath of fresh air. Wow. See, my producer in South Carolina did not have your name on the screen. They only said Evan Nierman was holding. I said, you know what? I'm not going to even bust out my boy on the air. I'm just going to assume he's there and act like he's there. I said, let me call out his name.
I'm here.
You
Happy
are
New Year.
Oh, David, and I know you love sports. Yes.
Absolutely.
We've got the full house today. Byrd Nierman. Well, let me start with you. Were any of you into cycling? Did you follow Lance Armstrong, Evan?
Absolutely. I've actually been a cyclist, Armstrong. You didn't know this about me, but I've been riding a road bike for a number of years, probably about 10 at this point, and followed Armstrong's career very closely, actually.
Now, make sure you say Lance, because they may think you're talking about me.
Yes.
Lance today.
Armstrong.
Say Lance today, okay?
I've never ridden bikes with Armstrong Williams, and I haven't ridden with Lance Armstrong, but I've watched Lance Armstrong ride many times.
But you met him.
I have met him before, yes.
Okay, continue.
So I've been following his career as a cycling fan and actually as a fan of Lance Armstrong for many years. And then in recent months, and even in more recent years, as so much information has come to light and all these accusations, and there's been back and forth between Lance Armstrong and his accusers, I've been following the Lance Armstrong story from a professional perspective and from the perspective of someone who makes his living by counseling individuals and companies on how to get through tough times and crises. So it's this Lance Armstrong. I've seen both sides. I've seen it from both sides, and it's certainly a fascinating story to watch.
David Byrd, was this created by Lance Armstrong or created by an industry that made money knowing that he was self-destructive, knowing that he corrupted other cyclists? They knew he was running a thriving business, and they decided to just turn a deaf ear to it.
I think Armstrong, I think that Lance and private industry both created this. You see, when you talked up at the top of the program about Lance Armstrong, I'm not a cyclist. But you know what? I followed Lance Armstrong because I was fascinated by him and the whole idea that somebody won the Tour of France 7 times in a row. You know, when you looked on ESPN and you saw these people going through the mountains and you saw how much they had to train, you know, it's like golf. I'm not a golfer, but I followed it because of Tiger Woods. You know, sometimes people follow certain things because of the person or the personality. They don't have anything to do with the sport. So I was fascinated by him because, my goodness, you know, Americans love, you know, 7 in a row. Michael Jordan, you know, 3 championships in a row twice. Bill Russell, 11 championships in a row. People, you know, the Super Bowl Steelers won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. You know, people love those streaks, 56-game hitting streak. You know, how many free throws you make in a row. You know, the Los Angeles Lakers in the 71-72 season, 33 games in a row. People love those type of streaks. And then it all comes crashing down when we find out it's not what we thought it was.
You look at the Williams sisters. People love a player that dominates. Roger Federer, the Dallas Cowboys. You're right. It's the personality. People really root for a winner, and yet they understand that they're flawed. I mean, you take someone like a Tiger Woods. He was forgiven, but his game was never the same. And, you know, there's so much pressure to stay on top, especially for guys who want to build themselves up to look good for women, look good for themselves, who are pretty vain. You can imagine an athlete with all the pressure and the endorsement deals and what's in the contracts, the kind of pressure you're under to stay on top. So is it a surprise, Nierman, that you don't slip, at least with these steroids and enhancement drugs, at least to make sure that you stay with the competition, you stay competitive, and that you stay in the race and you keep this image going that people have of you?
I think David's absolutely right. The people, they like the story. They want to believe in someone. And Lance Armstrong, of all the storybook characters, here's a guy who's on his deathbed, and the doctors are predicting he's going to die because the testicular cancer is spread to his brain, but he doesn't die. He defeats cancer. He comes back, and he dominates his competitors and pulls off this amazing feat. So, yeah, there's a story there that people want to believe in. And to your question of, you know, do you need this? What does it take to stay on top? Well, Lance Armstrong, like any other elite athlete, is a fierce competitor, and they're going to do whatever they need to do to win at the end of the day. And I think somewhere along the line, it's almost that. I think the analogy is the feet going around the pedals on a bike. Once you get on that bike and the pedals are turning, it's hard to get off. And once we don't know the details yet about when exactly is he going to admit that the use of performance-enhancing drugs, when did it start exactly? We don't know the time frame yet. There's actually a lot that we're all hoping we can learn from this in-depth interview with Lance Armstrong and Oprah. But absolutely, I agree with this sentiment, Armstrong, that once you're on that ride, once the pedals are turning over and you've taken off, and once you've gotten 1 win under your belt, 2 wins, etc., and you're winning and you're doing what it takes to win and no one's catching you, hey, why would you stop?
There's too much money in all of this. The American appetite, the worldwide appetite for sports is so much. The TV rights. Look at all these universities that are spending money creating their own networks to produce their own games. The Yankees created their own network to produce the Yankee games, to selling the rights of this. And what happens, Armstrong, when these folks get caught? Do they give the TV money back? Do they give the bowl money back? When these college programs get caught on these recruiting violations, do you see any of them? They take the victories away, but do they give the money back?
That's an excellent point. And in addition, Lance Armstrong, I would argue, he made a lot of money for a lot of different entities, including the United States Postal Service.
Hold that point, Evan. David Byrd, Armstrong Williams, phone lines are open. We're streaming live at www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams, 866-620-6620, info@rightsidewire.com. We'll be back.
Attention, a very wealthy international benefactor now reveals money-making secrets used by the rich and powerful. Now you can learn how to make more money than you ever dreamed possible. Ancient secrets that have been used by members of secret societies for centuries are now being revealed. Now this money-making secret is being made available to the public. Receive the CD, Money Making Secrets Revealed, absolutely free. Learn how you can make money, achieve your dreams, eliminate debt, and develop super wealth. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and is available only for a limited time. Call and get Money Making Secrets Revealed absolutely free.
Dial 1-800-839-4522. That's 1-800-839-4522. 1-800-839-4522. Remember, 1-800-839-4522. That's 1-800-839-4522.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams, expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Was Lance Armstrong a cheater, Evan? Did he cheat the public?
Well, I think we're going to find out when we see this admission if he, in his own words, considers himself a cheater. I have a feeling he's not going to characterize it that way or phrase it that way, but I think it goes without saying that after 10 years of vehemently denying that he ever used any steroids or performance-enhancing drugs or was involved in blood doping, he's now prepared finally to tell us, well, I was lying that whole time. I did use those things. So, yes, that's against the rules. That's cheating, and more important, it's lying about it for over a decade.
But see, Armstrong, as Evan said earlier, he has some legal issues that he has to watch out for, including one of his former teammates is suing him under the Whistleblower Act because he was funded, or one of his sponsors was the U.S. Postal Service, and the Justice Department will be watching tomorrow as well because they're trying to decide whether they want to join in and sue him.
You know, what would have happened had he just been honest? Could he have been honest? Was that even ever possible, David?
You know, Armstrong, I think, as Evan said, and when I said earlier about these streaks, I think what happens is he couldn't be after a certain point, probably even if he wanted to, because the greed took over, the reckless behavior, and I don't mean, what I mean by reckless behavior is it became win at all costs because it became too great. The sponsors, you know, it's almost like if you watch the Godfather movies, when those guys try to get out, they can't. It probably became for him, and I don't know the full story, but it probably came for him, as Evan said, he won 1, he won 2, he won 3. The money became so good, and he probably affected a lot of people in a very positive way, that he had to find whatever edge he had to do to keep winning. And this is what has become our culture, because we celebrate winners. We don't pat the guy on the back who comes in second place for a good show, a good try. We don't do that. We celebrate the winners. Frank Sinatra sang about it. Here's to the winners. So everybody wants to be a winner, and they'll do it at all costs.
You know,
even to their reputation.
So you're saying, Rodney, you have a comment. You're on with David Byrd and Evan Nierman. Go ahead. Rodney?
Oh, yeah. Also, good show. I want to, I can't really say it for a cyclist, but as I hear your guest speaking, I can only speak about baseball. And to me, it seemed like, you know, no matter how much enhancement drugs them guys take, you still got to hit that ball that's coming at you at 90 to 100 miles per hour. So I don't care how much you beef up or what have you, you still going to have to perform at when that ball is coming towards you. And another thing.
Let me stop you. Let me elaborate on that point. So are you, and I know you're not saying this is why I need clarification. Are you saying that the drugs don't enhance you to do what you just discussed better and gives you an advantage over the competition?
Well, yeah, it's going to give you a slight advantage, yeah. It's going to give you a slight advantage now. Like I said, I can't really speak.
Okay, so if it gives you, if it gives you a slight advantage, is that fair to the competitive field?
Well, what it says for the competitive skill is apparently he has a secret to be a winner.
But it's not. Oh no, Rodney, come on, you're better than that. He did not have a secret. He violated. He violated what everybody else had to abide by. Come on now, this is a slippery slope you taking us down.
Okay, but wait a minute now. Let's say they have a rule against steroids.
They do have a rule against
steroids, but yet he goes to a scientist or somebody come to him and say, hey, look, we don't have steroids, but we have this vitamin B12 or this amino acids that will give you the same effect as steroids.
Then you go to the medical people who handle this are the authorities in charge of the competitive field and say, I'm not taking steroids, but my physician, my trainer recommended this to me. If I do take this, am I in violation?
Okay, but if he just go by what the guidelines is, he must say, hey, no, I wasn't taking steroids, but yet I was taking this B12 and this other pill.
Now, Rodney, wait a minute. Rodney, wait a minute. Evan, this is interesting. Rodney is a very good caller, and I'm going to tell you. Because Rodney almost gives me the mind of Lance Armstrong.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on.
No, you hold on, too. Wait a minute. No. You went there.
Let me,
wait a minute.
Hang up and listen to you, but wait a minute. Hold on.
I don't want you to hang up.
Okay.
I don't want you to hang up. I want us to stay on this point, and then we're going to keep you to let you make your second point. Is Rodney's argument flawed, Evan and David?
I'm going to make your head spin here, Armstrong, and say Rodney's actually got a very good point, which is, yes, Lance Armstrong, even with an advantage, he still had to put in the work on that bike. He still had to maneuver down the mountains. He still had to put in the effort. I stand by what I said, and I think that it's incontrovertible. You can't argue with the fact that in a sport, especially like cycling, which is an endurance sport, if you're taking measures to increase the way that your body processes oxygen, and you're creating additional red blood cells, and you're using medical means in order so that you can recover faster, and your competitors aren't doing that, you're cheating, and you're cheating them, and you're cheating the public, and you're lying about it when you say that you're not doing those things. You are getting an advantage. So Rodney does make a good point.
Well, wait a minute. Stop. David,
he's going to say that was me on the bike. That was me going up the mountain.
Bear this in mind. Bear this in mind. I watched the swimming competition at the Olympics, and sometimes the win is by 0.01 seconds, David.
That's exactly right. And see, actually, Rodney has brought up some good points.
Yes,
because
of course.
When you talk about an advantage, what is the advantage to a particular player? Let's take his analogy with baseball. If I'm a mediocre player that's hitting 250, and I can raise that to 300, all of a sudden now I have maybe doubled or tripled my income, and I've possibly put myself in line to be considered one of the top-tier ball players, because in baseball, anybody who hits 300 or over is considered top tier of the sport. So the question is, specifically for baseball, baseball has spent the last 10 to 15 years trying to address these concerns, because some of the players who were not considered for the Hall of Fame last week, the first time no one was considered for the Hall of Fame since 1996. Some of them were taking some of these drugs, and there were no rules in the sport of baseball addressing this issue.
Rodney?
You remember the famous scene with Mark McGwire?
Yes,
the news reporter saw some drug enhancing supplements in his locker, but the point was there was nothing in baseball at that time to address it.
Rodney, your final comment. You said you had one last thing you wanted to point out.
Okay, now, he just mentioned a big thing when he said McGwire, Sammy Sosa. Remember, just before you knew those household names, baseball was going down. So apparently with the drugs and the enhancement, all of a sudden these two players, or other players as well, started hitting some hits in those seats. Those owners and everybody in Major League Baseball that has made money off of baseball has also made money off of these players that take enhancement drugs. Don't get it twisted that, it's his fault he took it, but look how much the owners made money off of a man hitting 5 home runs in one game. So you got to look at it, too, because baseball was sinking, was going downhill, then all of a sudden it started picking back up, because people wanted to see a good performer. They wanted to see somebody hit 8 home runs in one game.
Armstrong, Rodney once again made my point that I point earlier when he said...
y'all have a good show. I have to hang up now.
Okay, Rodney, thank you for listening.
is that, don't get it twisted, they may have shamed the player, but did the owner give back the money from the record crowds and the money that they made at the stadium off that performance and off that player? Did the universities give them, when they took away USC's national championship, did they force USC to give the money back? Did the network
never discuss
their money back that they paid out in fees?
Evan?
Well, Rodney said it, David said it at the beginning. He didn't watch cycling until Lance Armstrong was on the scene, and he's like millions, if not tens of millions, of other Americans who've never heard of the Tour de France. They never watched a bunch of these skinny guys on even skinnier bikes going up these mountains. Never had an interest, never was on the radar.
So if it were not for the drugs, David Byrd and most Americans would have never cared about cycling.
That's right.
That's a frightening narrative.
But you know what we need, Armstrong? You know what we need? And Mike Huckabee alluded to this in campaigns. I like Mike Huckabee's proposal that he says let all money, union money, corporate money in as long as it's reported.
Hold there, guys. We've got to come back. We're going to full-blown hour on this. Don't go away. Ken will join us. I'm Armstrong Williams, David Byrd, Evan Nierman. We'll be back.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sports shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Our regular guest host at this time, Ken Linsink, is joining us. Ken, we're just talking to Red Banyan's founder, Evan Nierman, and Bird Eye's founder, David Byrd about Lance Armstrong, the implications. Welcome to the show. Because before you give your input, I want them to bring you up to speed. Have you had a chance to listen to the last 5 or 6 minutes of the show?
I have not. I just got on board.
Well, hold tight. Evan, why don't you bring Ken up to speed? I mean, especially Rodney. I guess the real question is, they have banned them. They've made them unlawful. They've made them illegal. But you're trying to tell us that because they were legal during another era in this country when people were able to advance and be in the top echelon of athletes and win awards and citations and get into the Hall of Fame, and now all of a sudden you're going to reject these drugs and they're going to become illegal, which creates sort of a paradox. I'm just trying to figure out what you're actually saying, because to me, the law is the law is the law. He violated the law, and there are consequences for it. It seems to me that this conversation is almost justifying his behavior.
I don't think we're saying that. I don't think.
I'm just trying to figure out what you're saying.
I think we need in the sport. I think we need to create a level playing field. We need something like South Africa had when they transitioned to their democracy and they had to move forward, and they created a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I think in sports, with all of these steroids as drug use, I think we need to create a Truth and Reconciliation Commission that we have. If these people really want to be considered, if they want to be able to participate in the sport, if they need to come clean and come forth before the commission and tell everything they know. And if they tell everything they know and lay it all on the table, then they can be made whole to participate and become part of the sport instead of becoming a pariah. Because now what we have these situations, and it creates this uneven playing field. The athlete is demonized, but the corporate sponsors, the people who created this whole situation for this, the networks and everybody, they get a pass. The universities get a pass. Nobody gives back the money. The networks keep making money, and the only person who's the pariah, the hired employee, the athlete, is the one who's demonized.
Ken Lansing, your input.
I guess I have a hard time understanding why if an individual athlete breaks the rules, why that's anyone's responsibility other than his own. And I don't lack compassion for Lance Armstrong or for anyone who's tempted in trying to get to the top, tempted to use means that are available to him, but that the sporting community have said, look, these are illegal, you can't do it. I understand the pressure. I understand the pressure that the universities, the sponsors, the networks have put on them. But frankly, I think that's similar to the pressure that that anyone feels. If you're in a business situation, you've got pressure to make money. If you're a lawyer, you've got pressure to win the case. I think that we have to have rules, and I think maybe we need to examine whether these are smart rules or not. But it seems that even if they're really, really stupid rules, the fact is, them's the rules. And if you step out of bounds, you're going to be held accountable. I'm interested in what makes this situation different, I suppose.
Evan?
I think it'll be interesting to see the performance that Lance Armstrong puts on when he sits down with Oprah and this thing airs, because I think he's likely to make some of the arguments that David was making. I think he's likely to, I think in a typical crisis PR situation, you would expect that someone is going to do like what you saw with Tiger Woods. They're going to come forward. They're going to say, forgive me for I have sinned. I made a terrible mistake. I hope that you can forgive me. I accept responsibility. I pledge to do better. And here are some concrete steps I'm going to take to make sure that these mistakes don't happen again. That's kind of crisis PR 101. That's the playbook. I don't think Lance Armstrong's going to go by that playbook tomorrow with Oprah. I think what we're going to see is this guy's a competitor. this guy has steely determination. I think he's actually, at moments, going to come off misty-eyed. I think he's going to wipe a few tears. I think he's going to express some regret. But I also think he's going to come out swinging, and he's going to implicate others. He's going to say, it wasn't just me. I'm being unfairly maligned. I'm being made the scapegoat. And this was an endemic problem in cycling, and it's way bigger than Lance Armstrong, but I'm the one who's been forced to carry the cross. I think that's his play tomorrow. That's my prediction. You heard it here on Armstrong Williams.
David?
You know, Armstrong.
Go ahead, Ken. Go.
You know, Armstrong, I definitely agree with Evan on that, and I think that Lance is in a particularly strong position, I think, to make that kind of argument given this particular kind of crisis, and it's also because what we're talking about is a somewhat difficult to grasp concept when we're talking about different kinds of performance-enhancing drugs and the pressures he's been on. You know, when you've got a major corporation that has a product that's killing people or even hurting people, we use BP as an example, potentially hurting people out in the Gulf, you have to mea culpa. I mean, the public requires it. When you've got Tiger Woods in that crisis, again, you know, the wife at home, the kids, sexual scandal, really anything else isn't bold, it's insane. Whereas with Armstrong, you know, I think it's bold to come out swinging. It's definitely not the cautious route, but he's in a particular place where if anyone can be aggressive in this type of situation, it's him. And particularly when you look at the amount of time that his sponsors stuck with him when the evidence was mounting against him. Frankly, a pure mea culpa at this point. He had plenty of time to do that.
Well, Mr. Lawyer,
I don't think that would work.
Mr. Lawyer, well, then maybe all criminals should come out swinging and put justice on the defensive. Is that what they should do?
Well, some do, Armstrong, except they're not. When they're confronted with the evidence, at some point they crumble because they realize they can't win.
I'm just trying to understand, are we rewriting the laws here today? I mean, because I actually thought that character is what you do when no one is watching. And this is about characters. These guys are role models for our kids. I mean, kids, are you asking kids to take on this behavior? Forget about it. Athletes in high school, college, take these drugs. Forget about it. Take it. And then fight the system and become a hero. I mean, what are we saying here?
We're not saying, well, listen. What we're saying is nobody is endorsing what he did.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Well,
if I were listening to this, I am listening to this show, and I'm a little confused. You guys are sending mixed signals here today.
No, what we're saying is and I forget who made the comment, but I certainly agree that some of the rules and some of these things need to be taken a hard look at. But nobody's endorsing cheating. But cheating does exist, whether we want to look a blind eye away or not. That is not we don't endorse cheating, but cheating exists. And once we figure out a way to catch the cheaters come up with ingenious ways to get around it. I mean, that's the way the cycle goes. Criminals, you catch criminals, and then criminals come up with new methods to do things. Character. We do not. The reason why our children and other people look at these folks as role models is because we don't celebrate the true role models in our society. We make these mythical figures because, as I said before, they've gotten 5 in a row, 10 in a row, you know, hitting 56 games in a row, won 5 championships in a row. We make them mythical figures, and except the people in our neighborhoods who pick up the garbage, the teachers who help students after class and tutor them. We don't make them our heroes. We make these guys, and these guys are no different, just like our pastor is no different than any other man or woman, but yet we want to make, because this guy got $1 million contract, because he's the first-round draft choice, or because he's the new flavor of the month, we've decided to make him the it guy, and there's no way he can meet the expectations that we put on him.
Well, Armstrong, what I would say is I don't I certainly think that he cheated. I think it was absolutely the wrong thing. I think that he was a role model before we learned the truth. But for me, the hardest part to stomach, and this is as an ardent Lance Armstrong fan for a number of years, who idolized him, who drew a lot of inspiration from reading not one but two of
Hold there. We're coming back. Ken Leachek, Evan Nierman, David Byrd, and to our live stream audience. www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. Info at rightsidewire.com. We'll be back.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
Attention, a very wealthy international benefactor now reveals money-making secrets used by the rich and powerful. Now you can learn how to make more money than you ever dreamed possible. Ancient secrets that have been used by members of secret societies for centuries are now being revealed. Now this money-making secret is being made available to the public. Receive the CD, Money Making Secrets Revealed, absolutely free. Learn how you can make money, achieve your dreams, eliminate debt, and develop super wealth. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and is available only for a limited time. Call and get Money Making Secrets Revealed absolutely free.
Dial 1-800-839-4522. That's 1-800-839-4522. 1-800-839-4522. Remember, 1-800-839-4522. That's 1-800-839-4522.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. This is it's not a complicated conversation, but it can be very confusing to the listener. There's a moral code to this, and then there's also a legal code, and moral and legal are not necessarily the same. Lance Armstrong, if he didn't have anything to hide, why would he just continuously lie and destroy so many lives in the process? He made this matter worse than what it was, Ken.
I definitely agree with, and I also agree with the comment that one of the problems is who our culture holds up as heroes, and I think that's one of the reasons that, frankly, that I think we find ourselves in a very confused culture. It's because of the things that we celebrate. This guy was supposed to be one of the good guys. Wrote his books and kind of athlete who just really trains really, really hard. Sure, naturally gifted, but this is the kind of thing where if you work really hard at it, you can do well. And then it turns out he was a tarnished hero at minimum when the first news started coming out, and turns out we lied about it. And look, human nature, of course, I think is to try to cover up and get away with it. But it's particularly sad to me to watch him fall because of the countless chances I think he had to sort of stop it at the beginning. And who knows why he thought he could get. The thing is, you never can. You really, once the media is on to you, once you're in the eye, you don't get away with it. It doesn't stop. But if there's a moral in that, I hope it's the listeners will tell their kids, what my parents always said, tell the truth first. It's always easier. Because otherwise, you build lie upon lie upon lie. But who knows what was going on in his head? I just think it's a particularly sad scenario. And what the ethical and the legal, I think there's definitely unfortunately there is a difference. And who knows what his crisis manager or a lawyer, what they would advise to do on Oprah versus maybe his spiritual director. Sadly, I think they're probably slightly different.
What do you think about?
But it is a sad thing.
And Ken, when you tell the truth, you got less to remember.
That's true. I think everyone knows that one. If not, surely from personal experience, but if not yet, take it from those who have. When you tell the truth, you don't have to remember a story. You just remember what actually happened.
What about the format, Evan, which Lance Armstrong decided to bare his soul to the world?
It was a cunning and calculated move that I think runs completely parallel that we should expect from him. His whole career has been about cunning and calculation. I think if you're going to go one place, if I was advising someone to go and to asbestos, I'd head for Oprah as well. Oprah is revered. If she, through her nonverbal cues, gives any indication that she likes Lance, that she forgives Lance, if she, through her verbal cues, if she says, seems to take pity on him, seems to understand, seems to empathize with him, I think there are lots of people who will watch what Oprah's doing, and they'll take their cues from her. So I think going on Oprah makes a lot of sense for him. It's a good move from a crisis PR standpoint. And I think the idea that this has been made far worse than it ever needed to be is absolutely correct. But Lance Armstrong made this bed. He's going to have to lie in it now. For over a decade, he flat out denied what was true. And not just that, the people who had the guts to come forward and tell what they knew, he lit into them with a vengeance. He sued them, he bullied them, he intimidated them. And it turns out they were telling the truth.
But, at the same time, I also think he took advantage of Oprah, and I'm not saying that Oprah Winfrey is somebody...
Wait a minute. He did what?
He took advantage of Oprah, and I'm explaining what I mean by that.
Please.
Is that, and I'm not saying Oprah Winfrey is someone that you can take advantage of, but Oprah Winfrey, for all that she does, Oprah Winfrey is not a sports columnist. Hasn't spent her career in sports, and so if Lance really wanted us to believe him, and he really wanted us to listen, why didn't he sit down with the people of ESPN? Or why didn't he, somebody like a Brent Musburger, why didn't he sit down with 60 Minutes where we've seen and that's because he knows that he probably will not be able to stand up under the grilling that those people would do versus the type of questions or the type of setting that Oprah would provide for him.
Let me just stop you a minute. I don't want nobody to think that my ego is about to get bent out of shape. But I would venture to say, and I'm going to leave Ken out of this, that David, Evan, and I could do a better job of drilling and grilling Lance Armstrong than the ESP sports experts. Are you kidding me? You don't have to be in sports to be an expert. Are you kidding me? What are you saying?
What are you saying? Is that their knowledge and their coverage of the sport, and they would ask him questions.
That's no different than what we would ask.
Oprah will probably not ask him.
You're being a chauvinist.
No. What I'm saying is that's not her expertise. There are women in these fields. I'm not being a chauvinist. I'm saying that's not her expertise.
Oh, now Evan, I know you all want to be kind to my brother, but you know he's not right in what he's saying. Okay, come on now.
Hey, Oprah, I think would do a far better job than me.
Thank you. Come on,
but
let's not. I don't want to beat up on.
She would do a far better chance than me too.
I don't want to beat up on my brother, but let me tell you something. He's out in left field on this one. I'm sorry.
All right, but just so you know, I think Oprah was also worried about that people would accuse her of doing a softball interview. So she made sure to tell CBS when she was on a couple days ago that she went prepared, she read all the books, she read all the evidence, and that she went in with 112 questions to ask him. So I think Oprah was ready to get ahead of that accusation and try to debunk that herself.
Oprah's life is talking about topics which she doesn't necessarily have firsthand experience at, but yet through research and understanding and briefings, she does a phenomenal job because she puts herself into it. She knew about this interview probably. They've been working on this for the whole year. They knew they had it 6 months ago. Come on, you prepare. But David, I'll leave that one alone.
Prepared.
What should be
and Armstrong? I not only do I think she went in prepared because she's a consummate professional, and hey, she's Oprah Winfrey, but I think that Lance also, he's been preparing for this for a long time too. I have no doubt he went into this interview completely prepared. I mean, his nickname among his teammates was Mr. Millimeter. You know why they called him that? Because he would adjust his bike down. He knew it to the millimeter. Every component had to be perfect. Every piece of preparation before a race was drilled down to a detail. He would weigh his food on a food scale before he ate it, and before all of his meals, to make sure that he could get the maximum energy output and have his weight right where it needed to be. This is a guy who doesn't leave things to chance. This is a controlling, calculating guy, and that's why I think tomorrow we're going to see an interesting show because he went in prepared too.
I don't want David.
Oprah, if not more so.
I don't want David to not do my show again because I called him a chauvinist. So, because I know he's very sensitive. So let me do this.
No, I would not. Listen, first of all, I appreciate being on the show and this live discussion. I don't take anything away from Oprah. I've watched her for years, and I appreciate and her interviews and the way she prepares. All I'm saying is I'll refer to the comment. I think Lance himself is calculating as well.
So is Oprah. Here's the final point. If we were on the jury, and we're all going to render our verdict, and we had to render a sentence, a verdict for Lance Armstrong, I will start with you, Evan. What would be your verdict?
I think he needs to I think it would be, the time is well overdue. I would want to hear everything. I would want not some sort of hackneyed semi-confession. I think if he's going to come out, we should expect the full Monty. You want to be forgiven by the public? You want people to understand your perspective? Tell us what you know. Name names, walk us through it, give us the details. I think that would be valuable because then people could judge the facts for themselves.
David.
You know, sometimes when people go to court, they plead guilty with an explanation. Guilty, but I want to hear the explanation.
Leon Check?
I think that Lance has an opportunity to finally tell the truth, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. I think the facts are against him, and I think he can gain a lot by frankly telling people why he had lied for so long. I think he could rehabilitate his reputation in that way. I don't think he's going to do that, but it would really, I think, be a pretty remarkable thing to set an example in that way if he did.
Well, I want to put it like this. Lance Armstrong embodies so many other institutions that were a part of what he's become. But righting the wrongs of this particular situation is less straightforward than you might think. And so you just, he may be forced to return his prize money. All 7 of the Tour of France tours, which sits at about $3.9 million. I don't know. I'm Armstrong.
For more information on the Armstrong